Throughout the 80s and 1990s, Mazda was killing the sports car game with their RX7 chassis. It was beautiful, it was sleek, an instant classic. But the Achilles heels of these cars is the fact that they have rotary engines. And as cool and funky and crazy as these motors may be, they're not environmentally friendly at all. They burn a ton of gas and fuel at an extremely low efficiency rate. And as a result, as time moved on, the rotor was phased out by new laws from groups like, here in America, the EPA. But what if I told you that there's an opportunity on the horizon for Mazda to recreate the glorious success that their RX-7 had back in the day, with still a rotary, but one that's way more efficient and completely changes the spectrum when it comes to what's possible with the rotary engine. Today, we're going to tell you how we could potentially save the RX-7 chassis and bring back the rotor motor into the limelight. What's up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Car Rant. We've been big fans of RX-7s on this channel for a long time, even if we hadn't really put it out there. I had an opportunity to buy one a couple of years ago, and there have been other models that we have showcased in some of our videos at Chick-fil-A and other car shows. We love the way they look, we love the way they sound, and more importantly, those things are great driving machines. But as we said in the intro, it's really hard to try to implement a rotary engine in the era we live in with the EPA standards and environmental protections that we now have and have to live with. But see, that's where this new brand comes in. This isn't a sponsored video at all. This was me just trolling through the internet, seeing an article, and really got me thinking. There was a company out there that was looking for investors, and I saw an advertisement for it. This company was called Liquid Piston. And if you've been a part of any of the tech channels at all over the last several years, you may have actually heard of this company, or at least seen a demonstration of what their product actually is. See, Mazda has the Wankel rotor. It's the Dorito shaped thing rotating inside of a pinched elliptical housing. It's very simple, very straightforward. It works, but it's really inefficient when it comes to its fuel consumption and oil consumption. And while it's real nice that it has very limited moving parts, namely just the concentric shaft in the middle and the rotor itself, there's still ways that that motor could be improved upon, because after all, that engine has been around for a very long time, like as long as the 4G63 has been around. In other words, there needs to be a natural progression from the 13B that we've had to something new. And I think the liquid piston might be that answer. See, with the liquid piston, it takes the Wankel rotor and it completely inverts it. So instead of a Dorito inside elliptical housing, it's now an elliptical shaped Dorito inside of an actually triangular shaped housing. It's literally the opposite while still being a rotor. But one of the coolest things about this little tiny rotor is that it can be made super small and still maintain the same level of efficiency if it were super big. The company itself put it out there that they wanted to try and score government contracts for military use. They wanted to make generators. They wanted to partner with a lot of different types of people to get this product out there because it's so well engineered. They have demonstrations all over YouTube of what this thing is capable of, and it will rev really high and burn extremely little amounts of stuff because it can run on a number of different types of fuel, something that's very important for our modern time, and it can almost do it indefinitely. And yes, much like the Wankel rotor, it still has its apex seals, but instead of the apex seals being on, say, the central rotor section of this engine, it's actually on the engine housing itself. It makes taking apart this motor a lot easier to maintain, because instead of having to take a number of bolts apart and all this stuff, you literally just take the housing off. You just simplified half of what makes maintaining a rotary engine difficult. Add to this the fact that its high efficiency makes it capable of being a sipper, not a guzzler. This would be a really good option for anyone trying to put it into a sports car, i.e. Mazda. And while the liquid piston itself is just an air-cooled engine, they could still implement some of their Skyactiv technology and add it into this format, this formula, and make it water-cooled so they can make it turbocharged and possibly even re-engineer it a little bit to make it 2-rotor instead of single. And be able to have plenty of power to move a car. Especially with how heavy the modern cars are, it will need to have a good amount of power, or else it's just not going to be very fast and we'll have RX8 troubles all over again. Basically, the simple answer is that this engine could very easily be implemented into Mazda's lineup and bring back a rotor car perfectly. There's plenty of good demonstrations of them putting it on a go-kart, and the motor could fit on your hand. And if a motor that small could propel a go-kart, imagine a slightly larger version meant to be put into the front end of a car. Or if Mazda really wants to play at it, the back of one. There's so much potential, so much room for opportunity and growth within Mazda implementing it as a new sports motor. I think that Mazda should really give Liquid Piston a call and maybe potentially get a contract with them, or at least learn from them. After all, if it wasn't for Mazda, we wouldn't have rotary engines. Well guys, that is all I've got for you guys today. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about this thing? Have you heard of the Liquid Piston? If so, comments, thoughts, ideas, leave them down below, because I do read them all and I'd be very curious to see what you guys have to say, because in my head it just makes sense that if they want to make a rotor car, why not use a rotary that's even more efficient than the one you had for 35 years. But with all that said, thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of the discussion. Please, if you like this video, hit that like button. Every like counts because it helps us out with the algorithm, and we'll see you guys on another video. God bless and peace.